Hi, my name is Callie. I'm a sleep coach here at Empower Sleep, and today I'd like to talk about how sleep restriction works. Sleep restriction is a technique within CBT-I, or cognitive behavioral therapy for insomnia, and I'd like to explain the hows and whys behind it and how you can apply sleep restriction or sleep compression yourself. Let's get started. So the first question is, what is sleep restriction? Now, despite the name, sleep restriction is not sleep deprivation. In fact, here at Empower Sleep, we actually prefer the term sleep compression. Now, sleep compression does not take sleep away. What it does is it teaches your body to sleep more efficiently. It helps to rebuild a strong connection between the bed and sleep. So first of all, I would like to kind of talk briefly about how insomnia develops. Now, there's many reasons for insomnia to develop, but what happens is over time, having poor sleep can change your sleep patterns. You may find that the more you struggle to sleep, the more you change things. Maybe you go to bed a little bit earlier because you're exhausted. Maybe you sleep in later when you don't have a good night's rest. Maybe you lie awake in bed for long periods of time. And what can happen over time is that sleep can then become associated with wakefulness or frustration or effort instead of rest and relaxation. I'd also briefly like to talk about how sleep itself works. Now, sleep is guided by two main systems. We have the sleep drive, or the need to sleep. This sleep drive builds stronger the longer that you are awake. And in this graph, you can see that as the day goes on, the body's sleep drive increases and increases until it hits a point where your body wants to go to sleep. Now, once you do start to sleep, that sleep drive then decreases and the process starts over the next day. We also have the circadian rhythm, or the body's internal clock. Now, the circadian rhythm is heavily influenced by bright light during the day and darkness at night, and the circadian rhythm thrives on consistency. As you can see in this graph, as you go along the day, the light gets brighter and brighter. That's one of the signals that helps to tell the body that daytime is here. And that circadian alerting signal gets stronger and stronger. Now, at some point when light starts to diminish, the circadian alerting signal then goes down. And as darkness occurs, there are different signals to the body. For example, the body will release melatonin instead of that circadian alerting signal. And that's typically when sleep happens. Now, if we put these two graphs together, you can now see how the increased sleep drive also lines up with the circadian alerting signal, and these two systems work together to regulate your sleep. However, when they are misaligned, it can cause problems like insomnia. Okay, so let's go back to sleep compression. What is the goal of sleep compression? The goal is to retrain the body and the brain. When we spend less time in bed, it creates a stronger sleep drive. If we have a stronger sleep drive, that can create better quality sleep. Bed, or the bedroom, then becomes a place for sleep again. So why does sleep compression help? By spending less time in bed, the sleep pressure, or that sleep drive, builds stronger. The brain also relearns that the bed equals sleep, and with consistently, sleep can start to happen more naturally. Results often include falling asleep faster, maybe staying asleep longer, fewer awakenings or shorter duration of those awakenings, and more quality, stable sleep. So, what does sleep compression look like? So, here at Empower Sleep, one of the things that we do first is we talk about the wake up time, and that's kind of the anchor of sleep compression. We want to make sure that we are waking up at the same time every morning because, again, the circadian rhythm loves consistency. So, this means that you're going to be waking up at the same time every day, even if you had a poor night. So, regardless of how you slept the night before, that wake time will stay consistent. This is the foundation of sleep compression. Now, the second thing that we want to do is create a bedtime, and we want to create this bedtime based on actual sleep times. Not how long you wish you were asleep, that magic 8 hours that we hope to achieve, but more based on current averages. So here at Empower Sleep, we will look at your sleep image or your image ring data to determine what your current averages of sleep are. And in this instance, I'm going to use the example of 6 hours. So if I set my current wake time at 6:30 every day, I'm going to spend about 6 to 6.5 hours in bed. We do give you an extra half hour just to prepare for sleep and fall asleep. And so if I work backwards from 6:30, that means that midnight will be my new bedtime. My new sleep compression schedule will be midnight to 6:30 a.m. Now, that can be a little scary for some people. I may say, but I normally go to bed at 10 p.m. How am I going to stay up till 12 a.m.? There may be some changes that you have to make. You may have to make sure that you're not in a very dark room laying on the couch during that period of time. Maybe you rearrange your schedule a little bit and do some chores, kind of keep yourself up and active until you hit that midnight time. But also, I want to remind you that this is not permanent. As sleep becomes more efficient, we will move that bedtime and move it earlier in a slow pace so that your sleep opportunity gradually increases. What we're doing is we're compressing sleep to strengthen it, and then once it's stronger, we will slowly expand it. First, we work on the quality of sleep that you're getting, and then we will work on the quantity of sleep you're getting. So what does sleep compression feel like at first? To be very honest, the first 1 to 2 weeks can feel uncomfortable, but consistency is key, and typically results do start to happen right around week 2 or 3. Now, in the first 1 to 2 weeks, you may feel increased tiredness or sleepiness, daytime fogginess or grogginess. You may experience doubts or anxiety about how much sleep you're currently getting. And this is normal, and it usually means that your sleep drive is rebuilding. And remember, this is not permanent. So when do improvements happen? Most people begin noticing benefits or improvements within about 2 to 3 weeks time, and this is only if they've been very consistent in their sleep compression schedule. Now, typically improvements are more continuous sleep, better sleep quality, less anxiety around sleep, and more confidence in their own ability to actually sleep. Now, we do find that these gains tend to last longer, especially when compared to some of the more short, quick-term fixes. Now, a very important reminder, again, sleep compression is not a forever rule, and it can be adjusted for things like illness, safety, work demands, mental health needs. These are all conversations that we have here at Empower Sleep, and we can make modifications when necessary. Sleep compression is about working with your body, not fighting against it. Now, the real goal of sleep compression is not to sleep perfectly every night. The real goal is patience and consistency. With patience and with consistency, sleep compression can be a very, very powerful tool and can act like a reset or a reboot to your sleep. Okay, I'd like to thank you for joining me on this topic of sleep compression and hope to see you again soon for future topics.